Hi, it's Katrina. From an octopus that looks like it's about to suck out your soul to squid from a sci-fi movie, here are 10 incredible real sea monsters caught on camera. Number 10. Blanket Octopus. The blanket octopus is a very special breed of octopus, for while most species of octopus have free-flowing tentacles, this one has its own security blanket. It has sheets of flesh that connect all of the tentacles together, and when it wants to, it will open its blanket like a cape, like some sort of superhero or dementor. If attacked, the octopus will deploy its cape, and if that doesn't work, it will sacrifice an arm if necessary. They live in open water, so don't have the luxury of hiding in rocks or crevices like most other octopuses do. However, this octopus is not really afraid of anything, not even the Portuguese man-o'-war, one of the most venomous and deadliest creatures in the sea. This octopus is immune to its stings and will actually rip tentacles off of the man-o'-war to wield it around like a weapon. It's immune, but it knows that other creatures are not, and they aren't afraid to use it. As they get older, they get more skilled with this technique. Female blanket octopuses are much bigger than the males. While females grow to about 6 feet long, males are about 1 inch long, or about the size of a walnut. The females also can weigh about 10,000 to 40,000 times more. Are you impressed yet? Number 9. The basket star. Starfish, or sea stars, aren't exactly monstrous creatures, but their relative, the tangled mess known as the basket star, is nothing short of peculiar. This thing is gnarly. Literally. When pictures of it went viral, people were trying to guess what it was. Was it a can of spray cheese? A tentacled alien? All of its branches wriggle in all directions. Some people said this bizarre alien was like something out of Stranger Things. It inhabits deep, cold, and warm waters in both the northern and southern hemispheres at around 1,800 feet deep. It prefers to live among strong currents on the rocky sea bottom and can be found along both the east and west coast of the United States. The basket star's 5-pointed body is small relative to its arms. It's just a few inches wide with a flexible arm extending from each point. Each arm grows up to a few feet long and has branches and even sub-branches with barbed ends. This creature anchors itself to the sea floor, where it feeds by extending its arms out, forming its characteristic basket shape. Small invertebrates like shellfish and jellyfish flow along the current and into the basket, where they become trapped by its barbs, encased in mucus, and guided into the basket star's mouth. Easy peasy. As a defense against predators, the basket star turns into a ball by wrapping its arms tightly around its body. If any of its limbs are broken or chopped off by a predator, it will grow back. While this species cannot swim, it can move around and climb, and often makes its way up sponges and corals to search for food. Number 8. Bassy Soros. This toothy monster is known as the world's deepest living predator. It has the face of a lizard with the body of an eel and many sharp needle-like teeth. Bassy Soros ferox, known less formally as the deep-sea lizardfish, is a bottom-dwelling species that lives in tropical and subtropical waters worldwide. It has large eyes, which highlight the importance of being able to see prey deep in the ocean. Although these eyes are useless for detecting sunlight, which does not penetrate the depths the creature lives at, they pick up traces of bioluminescent and residual light. They lie in wait, and once they have captured prey in their jaws, there is no escape. They aren't picky eaters either. As an adult, Bassy Soros ferox can exceed 28 inches or 70 centimeters in length. It feeds sporadically, so its liver is extremely large, making up around 20% of its total weight. This sustains the fish's growth by providing emergency energy between feedings. Some of them are even fluorescent, even at 8,200 feet underwater. Aquariums have tried to keep other species of this kind in tanks, but they just eat everything in sight. Number 7. Big Fin Squid. This is probably one of the most disturbing sea creatures I've ever seen. The lighting probably doesn't help either. Doesn't this thing look creepy? On November 11, 2007, a Shell Oil Company ROV captured a magna pinna, or a big fin squid, on video at a depth of 2,386 meters. Found lurking near their Perdido drilling platform, this thing is haunting. The Perdido oil platform is the deepest offshore drilling site in the world. This creature is very rarely seen. The first record of a big fin squid is from 1907, based on a specimen caught off the Azores, but it was damaged. The crew of the submersible Nautil captured the first visual record of a big fin squid in 1988, off the coast of northern Brazil at a depth of 15,535 feet. Then in 1992, the same crew observed the species off the coast of Ghana and Senegal, both at around 10,000 feet below the surface. Also known as long fin squid, there are around 5 known species, recognized by their disproportionately large fins, which occupy roughly 90% of the body, and their extremely long arms. The longest was 26 feet long. Author Matthew Hart from Nerdist.com wrote that this Lovecraftian horror of the deep with elbowed tentacles undulate in a way that says my kind were here for eons before you and will be here for eons after you. What do you think? Are you spooked yet, or is it beautiful in its own way? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're at it, be sure to subscribe. Number 6. False killer whale. Pseudorca crassidens, more commonly known as the false killer whale, is a dolphin that favors tropical regions, but is found all throughout the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. It's sometimes seen in coastal waters, but typically dwells in deeper environments where it's known to dive as far down as 6,561 feet. At a glance, the false killer whale resembles what it sounds like, especially when it comes to its skull characteristics. The species is dark gray or black in color, with a lighter underside, and has a slender, elongated body and a rounded, melon-like head. Besides its resemblance to an orca, the false killer whale is often mistaken for several other species, including bottlenose dolphins and pilot whales, according to the University of Michigan Museum of Zoology's Animal Diversity Web. It also forms interspecies pods, and even gets romantic with other dolphin species. Talk about confusing. Since they are so elusive, we don't know very much more about them. Number 5. Venus flytrap anemone. This little guy from Little Shop of Horrors is actually a marine animal related to the jellyfish, but it looks and behaves a lot more like the Venus flytrap plant, hence its unofficial name, the Venus flytrap anemone. The Venus flytrap motion that the species displays is a defensive maneuver. It feeds on dead and decaying matter with its tentacles outstretched, using special stinging cells called nematocysts, which have venom-injecting microscopic harpoons. Its size depends on the food supply, but this creature can reach up to 12 inches in length and girth. It has a stick-like body leading up to the large, gaping mouth that gives the anemone its name. The species is found in 2 specific regions, the Gulf of Mexico's deepwater canyons and off the western coast of Africa. It's benthic, meaning it's found at the bottom of the waters it lives in, and it seems to prefer muddy areas. While the Venus flytrap anemone typically dwells 3,000 feet below the surface, it lives at depths between 1,500 and 5,000 feet. Number 4. Acorn worm. Want to see an 8-foot worm? Acorn worms are marine invertebrates consisting of 111 known species and several families. A more recently discovered family of acorn worms, Torquatoridae, seems to only live in the deep sea. Previously, scientists believed that all acorn worm species lived in sediment on the seabed. However, this newly discovered species occasionally rises from the sea bottom and into the water column as a means of drifting to new foraging sites. Most acorn worms are small, but certain species grow pretty large, including one that is known to reach 8 feet 2 inches long. While these creatures are harmless, they certainly don't look that way. In fact, handling one is dangerous for the worm rather than the handler, because they are so fragile they can fall apart in your hands. Then you'll be covered in worm goo. You'll probably never see one though, much less touch one, but that's okay because NOAA has gotten footage of the worm while on an expedition. In fact, humans rarely witness full-grown acorn worms because they spend most of their time burrowed in sand and sediment. People are more likely to see the less than appealing piles of feces that these creatures create at low tide. Even if you catch a glimpse of one, the sight is less than pleasant. Acorn worms are, well, worms with no sensory organs and little more than a mouth and hundreds of gill slits. You're welcome. Number 3. A new killer whale species. Last year, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced that scientists had observed a legendary killer whale species known simply as Type D in the wild. These peculiar orcas, who have noticeably smaller eye patches than the killer whales people are used to seeing, were first filmed in 1955, when 17 of them became stranded on a New Zealand beach. They had different features from other orcas, including a rounder head and a narrower dorsal fin. Type D killer whales were not filmed again until March 2019, when researchers witnessed them 60 miles off Cape Horn, Chile. They live throughout the sub-Antarctic in some of the world's most tempestuous waters. Because of this, and because the species is very rarely seen near shore, it's difficult for scientists to study them. A team of dedicated scientists spent 8 days anchored in nasty waters, enduring wind speeds between 40 and 60 knots. Their patience and hard work paid off, when during a short several-hour period between storms, they spotted the type D orcas. To determine if this is a previously unclassified species, the team took underwater acoustic recordings and tissue samples. DNA analysis will provide further insight into these whales and their genetic similarities and differences with other orcas. The results will be announced later this year. Number 2. Sea spider. Sea spiders, also called Panthopoda, are arthropods. There are over 1,300 known species, and they inhabit many different marine habitats throughout the world. While most species live in shallow waters, sea spiders are known to live at depths of up to 23,000 feet. The creature's legs range in length from 0.04 inches or 1 millimeter to more than 2.3 feet or 70 centimeters. Most species are on the smaller end of the spectrum and reside in relatively shallow waters, while larger species live in deeper, colder waters. Typically, sea spiders have 8 legs, but some have 5 or even 6 pairs of legs. Sea spiders are not true arachnids, but according to their official classification, they are more closely related to spiders than most other arthropods like insects and crustaceans. Genetic evidence, on the other hand, indicates that they may actually be more directly related to arthropods, so, jury's still out. These creepy crawlers feed using a proboscis, which enables them to suck nutrients from soft-bodied invertebrates. Most prey survive this process, making the sea spider more of a parasite than a predator. Either way, ugh. Number 1. The Gulper Eel. Also known as the pelican eel, the gulper eel is a deep-sea species that lives in temperate and tropical waters up to 6,000 feet below the surface, and that humans rarely observe or encounter. It's incredibly fragile when removed from its high-pressure habitat, so we typically have to enter the gulper eel's environment in order to see one. It was captured on camera by the Nautilus team once again, who were super excited. It also took them a minute to realize what it was. They were exploring the Marine National Monument in 2018 when they saw a black creature all puffed up with a skinny tail. What is it? It looks like a Muppet, another one says. The gulper eel, which grows up to 2.5 feet long, is best known for its huge, loosely hinged mouth, which is disproportionately large compared to its body and can open extremely wide, kind of like a pelican, enabling the eel to swallow a fish larger than itself. Its jaw alone occupies an estimated 1/4 of the creature's body length, but its teeth are very small. Besides this obviously unique feature, the gulper eel differs from most other eel species in numerous ways. It doesn't have scales, pelvic fins, or a swim bladder, and unlike most deep-sea creatures in general, it has very small eyes. Scientists believe that the gulper eel's eyes are meant not to form shapes, but to detect faint light traces. It also has an extremely long tail, which is known to become tangled in several knots when one is scooped up as bycatch in a trawler net. The gulper eel uses its tail for movement, and it contains an organ with multiple tentacles that glows pink and occasionally flashes bright red, courtesy of light-emitting photophores. Researchers think this feature is used for luring prey. I think I would swim in the other direction. Yikes! Due to the depths it resides at, scientists have much to learn about the gulper eel. Thanks for watching! What other types of creepy creatures would you like to learn about? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe. See you next time. Bye!